I want to make something clear. In order for there to be winners, there must also be losers. Plain and simple. Now, let me take you back to 2015. I'm 19 years old at this time. I'm in college, and I have a part-time weekend job at a place that pays me $120 each week. It's not a lot, but for a 19-year-old with no work experience, no bills or rent to pay, having $120 in my pocket a week to buy food, a video game, to say that I'm doing my own groceries, it was a pretty good feeling at that time. Now, during this period of time, I got messaged on Facebook.
Toby, when the son of the deposed king of Nigeria emails you directly asking for help, you help.
The gist of it, but the idea was this person had a check for a large sum of money and they didn't have a bank account, or for some reason couldn't deposit it in their bank account, but were asking that if they could deposit it into mine, they'd be willing to split some of the money up with me. This seemed reasonable to my 19-year-old pea-sized brain at the time and made total sense. But the word here is I was hopeful. I had a lot of hope that this guy, if he was being honest with me, it's always with what ifs. What if this guy is being honest with me? You know, could I be missing out? That fear of missing out on a potential life-saving chance is pretty crucial to a lot of these scams working, right? If someone tries to push something on you, it kind of makes you suspicious and want to back off. But a lot of these scammers will do this thing.
It's specially designed to cradle each candy bar in velvet-lined comfort. But I'm wasting my time. You don't need these bags. We need them! We need them!
Where they'll make you feel like, hey, you know, if you're not interested in this, I'll move to the next person. You know, as a matter of fact, you know what? I don't even want you to take this. No, you know what? You don't deserve this. I'm taking you. Be wary of anyone that tries to pressure you through these tactics. But at this time, this person didn't have to do much pressuring with me because I was open. I was like, sure, what do I need to? Now, in my mind, I thought, I know how I'm going to protect myself. I'm not going to give them any personal information. So if they start asking for my address, my date of birth, my social security number, you know, all of this is off the table. But the bank that I was with at that time, they didn't need much information for you to open up a checkings account. You know, just something simple. Just I need a debit card and I need an account to have money in it. They pretty much give it to anyone. So they didn't have my social security number, and I wasn't about to give it to this guy. But all they asked for was the details on my debit card. You know, my name, the expiration date, the numbers on it, and of course there's always something that bothers you during these interactions. You know, you're always kind of this sixth instinct. Even if you're as dumb as I was back then, there is this sixth instinct in you telling you, should I keep going with this? Days pass, and the more I'm thinking and I'm sitting on this decision that I've made, the more I'm kind of regretting it and second guessing myself. And I'm like messaging this person every day, you know, what's going on, keep me updated. Finally, I log into the account one day and I see a couple of $1,000s in there. And I'm just like, this is the proof right here. The person was saying the truth. There's money in my account. And I'm just thinking about all the ways that I'm going to spend it. Thank God I didn't do anything like run to an ATM and withdraw that money, or start, you know, making purchases with my debit card, because it could have ended disastrous. I was just, you know, marinating in it for a while. And then as time passes on, and we're talking about like hours during the day, I check the account again and the money's gone.
Currency accounts with compounding interest, and it's gone.
Had they ever had any intention of giving me the money, they would have just withdrawn whatever and left whatever was in there. Pretty soon I get a phone call from the bank about, the check that wasn't supposed to clear, which cleared. And I decided to just be open about it, transparent. I tell them everything. Open to my mom, and I tell her, hey, this happened. My thought at that time was I was going to surprise her. I was going to be like, boom, here's this cash. Here you go. You see? Smart, big brain business moves. But, of course, the opposite ended up happening. I went with her and told her, yeah, this happened. I guess to give me a good scare, she basically made it believe that at some point the bank was going to come after me and the cops were going to come after me and I was going to go to jail for this. And I was pretty scared after that for a little while. They cut their losses, they closed my account, and these guys got away with it. Now, I don't know if karma is real and eventually they got caught, or now they have to live the rest of their life. If they've done this multiple times, looking over their shoulders, thinking, one day the cops are going to be on them or whatever. The thing was, the bank took an L, and they didn't really take an L because banks are insured for this kind of thing, so I'm pretty sure they got that money back somehow. And I learned the lesson, right? I mean, these people wouldn't have cared if they would have ruined my life, my credit, anything. They would have gone through their life like normal, just knowing that they benefited, that they got what they wanted out of the situation, that was it. So, fast forward now, 2 or 3 years later, and I'm now 21 or 22, and one of my friends invites me to this meeting, this kind of like, young entrepreneurs meeting, and I didn't care much about the meeting or the details. I was just like, hey, cool, I'm gonna get to hang out with a longtime friend that I haven't seen in a while. That's all I cared about. I agreed to go there, and when I get there, I meet her and this other friend that she brought along too, so another nice guy. It was like a nice place for this kind of presentation. So we get there, there's all these chairs laid out. I take my seat right in the front row, right? I wanted to be right up there and I want to know all about what's going on. The lights dim. This epic, motivational, inspirational music comes on. And they have this slideshow of celebrities, JC, Jennifer Lopez, entrepreneurs, people that made it big. I believe at some point even Michael Phelps was there, just people from like the Olympics and stuff. I don't know. I just remember thinking like, there's no way these people endorse this, have anything to do with this, or know that their image is being used here. But, whatever. I guess if you really want to get people's attention and make a point, go for it. After this is done, you get multiple people coming up saying how this changed their life, how, they're living much better now.
And let me tell you that we are really changing the world as we know it. The world is not anymore the way it used to be. No. Be connected!
And the whole time I'm thinking, just get to the point. What are you selling me? What is the company? What is the product, right? Any place that uses these buzzwords, these business buzzwords, but they never actually tell you, this is exactly what we do, this is the service that we provide, or this is the product that we provide, and this is how you factor into it. They have to complicate it by making like 5 million steps in between with all these buzzwords. That's already a red flag. Get out of there. Don't even get involved in it anymore. But again, for my friend, I wanted to give this the benefit of the doubt, so I'm like, I'm just going to sit here and listen to the rest of this. After all these people, this lady in a business suit comes in. She's a Hispanic business lady. She's got her suit, her power suit, and obviously they saved the best for last. So she's like a high member of this company, of this organization, right? And she's clearly the example of how they've made it, right? And she starts telling us her story. She came here, young immigrant, looking for a better life for her and her daughter, single mom. And it got to the point where she was ready to give up. Working 2 full-time jobs and barely getting by and just not knowing what else to do. And then to top it all off, and this is really the cherry on top, a lot of these stories will give you the sob stories. So if you don't support them, if you don't believe them, if you question them,
change our minds today.
That right there, that's her daughter. She blind. Come on. So I raised them both by myself without nobody else's help.
Come get your ticket.
you're a scumbag. You're a bad guy. You're a bad person for not believing these people. So her daughter was diagnosed with this degenerative disease that was progressing, right? Eventually, she was going to end up in a wheelchair. And at this point, she's like close to tears. She's remembering all this. And she brought her to... Now, at this point, I'm like, I'm on board. I'm believing her. I'm like, yeah, okay. But, you know, that's terrible. That sucks. I feel for you. She takes her to doctors, and all of them are basically saying the same thing.
I'm afraid he's running out of time.
Why? What's wrong with him?
It's his time. It's running out.
Well, what does he need?
He needs to have more time.
By a threat. Finally, a friend of hers or a doctor who's like a little bit more open-minded tells her, hey, you know, have you heard of these supplements? You know, try them, you know, give them to your daughter. So I guess she decides she has nothing left to lose, and, you know, she's going to go on this, trying to look for any solution that's there. She starts giving her daughter all of these supplements, all of these powders in every way, in every meal. And slowly, a miracle happens. Her daughter gets better. No wheelchair, starts to walk, starts to run, takes off, starts flying. And the doctors can't explain it, you know, this miracle. How did it happen? The first thing that crossed my mind when she was telling this is, if what she's saying is true, and a lot of these testimonials of a lot of these people that walked on stage, you know the government would be on this. You know other companies would be on this. You know how many medical companies, pharmaceutical companies, supplement companies aren't out there that are looking for these kinds of products, that are pouring money into research and development and looking for these products that are going to make them the go-to company. Like there's nothing else. Like, this is a company. Just like Amazon is for shopping, all these other companies are trying to be for health and wellness and all this stuff. You know how many wouldn't come, try to buy them out, try to make a deal with them? But the truth of it is, none of these companies do, because there's nothing there. And then you can already guess where it goes from there.
The door on your left is open. And if you're not interested in making money, I want you to walk right out that door. With your initial investment of $300, you can make up to $60,000 or as much as $200,000.
Oh, God, we're not selling steak knives, are we?
Not we. You!
Majority of the people, from what I looked at the numbers, about 80% to 90% of these people make less than McDonald's employees a year, right? So they get you on the fact that, you know, the harder you work, the more money you make. So that's the perfect scapegoat. You're one of these people who can't sell this crappy product no matter what. Well, it's your fault. You're lazy, you're not smart enough, you don't have the salesman gene. But the reality is, the way this thing goes, especially in these Hispanic neighborhoods, is people grind it out. They either go door by door, like a door-to-door salesman. They go to public places and put out their foldable table and display everything out. And they either do try to be loud and try to be out there and try to sell it, or eventually it just gets to the point where it just becomes like a pattern for them to just go out and sit there and what are you doing during those hours? You don't end up selling anything, if much. You might make enough to buy a meal for the day. And then you end up selling it to family and friends that want to lend you a hand and that see that you're struggling and that want you to succeed, and eventually you come to a conclusion. You either learn your lesson, drop out of this and move on. You complain and talk to these people and they'll tell you exactly what I told you. They'll shame you. Hey, there's nothing wrong with the system. You're the one that's wrong. You can't sell, you suck, you're lazy. That's the thing, you're just lazy, you're just not a hustler. It's okay, leave, get out. Or you become part of the system. The top tier people that make those tens of thousands a year that are actually competitive, they're not making them from selling the products. They're getting it from the commissions from referring people to the company. So from funneling more people into the pyramid, into the bottom of it. Those people that are in the mid-tier, that's where they're getting most of the money from. They're standing on the shoulders of all these people. And most of the time, it's family and friends that they're referring to these. And at this point, I think if you are actually successful and you're at the top, you realize that you're not benefiting these people. I mean, best case scenario, those people do keep selling crappy products to unlucky customers, and they're actually making money, and then you're getting commissions off of that, right? And that's how they sell you on this. Every person that comes in, you get long-term commissions, dividends for life, essentially. But again, it doesn't work unless you're a shark who's willing to sacrifice a few people underneath you in order to succeed. Moving on. Fast forward. The Mayans didn't get it right. It wasn't the year 2000. It wasn't the year 2012. Apparently it was the year 2020 when something disastrous was going to happen. I'm not going to say the name. You know what happened in 2020. We all know what happened. I want this video to get recommended, so we all know what happened in 2020. But times like this, when unemployment skyrocketed, a lot of companies either laid people off or just said, hey, take an unpaid vacation until we're back, we're open. Especially people in the service industry, so food service, things like that. A lot of places that just were forced to shut down by the government. These conditions just open up these people for scams. Again, you have people that have to pay bills, rent, and they don't have a steady stream of income. So any lifeline that shows up, they're gonna want to believe in it. It's so devious, it's so complicated, and it works initially, which is what makes it even worse, because there is people that will lay their lifeline, and this is where the quote at the beginning comes. There's people that will die on this hill stating that it's legitimate because they got lucky, because they benefited from it, right? And to them, that's the reality, that it works, that it's legit. So how does a blessing loan work? Essentially, you start a group through WhatsApp, text message, whatever. But the reality is most of the time, it's going to be people that you have access to, family and friends. It always comes down to this. You put yourself in the middle of this blessing loan. You bring 2 people around you, and then around those, 4 people. And then around those, 8 people. All right? And this is going to be some kind of rotating thing where everybody's going to get a chance eventually to move down one level and get to the middle of that circle. All right? Now, the last people to come in, those 8, they each put in $100 into the person in the middle and bless them. And that person gets $800 and they walk out. Now, when that person bails, they don't care what happens to the circle. If it collapses, if it keeps going, if it succeeds, they were the person who orchestrated this, who started this. But they're done. They got their $800, they're leaving, and they're going to keep, if any of these people ever speak out against this, the person who got out successfully is going to say, look, it worked for me. You just have to keep grinding this out, keep getting people involved until you get to the middle. It's not going to happen. You're going to run out of people eventually. It's not, is this still happening to this day? No. It's just unsustainable, right? So then that circle splits in half. Everybody moves down one level, leaving those 8 empty slots at the end. And then again, it becomes that person in the middle's responsibility to bring 8 people in again, get the 800, bail out, and the cycle keeps on repeating. So this one circle turns to 2, which is going to turn to 4, which is going to turn to 8 circles, 16, 32, 64. You get where this is coming, right? What are we supposed to do? Make blessing looms until our neighborhood, everyone's in on it, and then the state, and then the country. You got to keep this going forever so that everybody eventually gets their turn in the middle.
Yes, thank you. You will get rich quick. We all will.
Sadder, though, is the people that got those $800 and they believed they were entitled to them. You know, they believed it was true. And who knows how many friendships were ruined and relationships were ruined by this, because you brought in people with good intentions thinking, you know, they're going to bless me and then eventually they're going to get blessed. And then when you realize that eventually people are like, you can't keep this going forever. So it's the same with the stock market, right? The only reason why your stock increases in value is because it dipped down when everyone was bought in and you sold, or it went up when you had it, right? Unfortunately, we see this now, especially nowadays more than ever. How many people didn't buy into crypto and Tesla right at the peak? I mean, years of it going up and it explodes and you decide now is the best time. It's that literally when people are playing musical chairs and you're in like the worst place, you're the furthest person away from the chair, you're willing to play that? No, the same thing with the blessing loan. So I hope this video was educational. I hope it was entertaining. Tell me what you guys thought. Have you ever been caught in a scam? And if so, what kind of scam was it? Do you think everybody at some point should be caught in a scam? I honestly think, yeah. I think it's one of those necessary bad experiences. Hopefully it's not like a, you know, they ripped you off of all your life savings or something serious, or identity theft or anything. Hopefully it's like a light, you know, if you were caught in the blessing loans, you lost $100, but I think you gained so much more in experience by saying, you know, I'm not going to let any of this happen to me ever again. So with that being said, I wish you guys the best of luck. Don't fall for a scam.